Alright, so here's our column for this Scout. I'll put this light down so we can see. Alright, let me show you something. Okay, so this is part of the horn, and there's your solder. And what happened, there is coming out of this little drop inside here right in here. There's a little L-shaped bracket that went out and touched this yellow wire, but that's no longer available. So what I've got to do, see, this fits, move that white wire. This fits right down in here, and so it moves up and down right there. So there's supposed to be a little L-shaped bracket down in here that attached to this yellow wire, but since that's gone, it's broken off, what I'm going to do is this wire is a bit too thick. So down inside here, as you can see, I drilled a little hole and it comes out right down here. And so that's going to allow that white wire to touch the bottom of the spring right here. And just remember, the yellow wire will go away and that white wire will be, and it's a smaller wire, smaller diameter, so it'll be easy to flex when this thing's bouncing up and down. It's not going to move much, but it'll move a little. So the way this works is I soldered the white wire to the yellow wire. Now I can pull the yellow wire. See, and it's got a deal that comes down in here, and you can see down inside there where the little channel is, so you can't really get to anything, so you got to fish it out of there. The way you do that, just solder that wire up there and pull this down, and then when you get a little slack in it, then you got to pull that one right there. It takes a little bit. I'm going to have both hands, so I have to set the camera down. Now there's enough movement in there, in that wire. That should give us enough rebound. So in order to do that, pull it out about as far as I can manage it, probably right there. Then we'll snip that wire back. I've got a wire stripper, but I'm going to just use my pocket knife. Or not. Just nip that a little bit. There. We'll get that twisted. And I can take it, just put a little dab of solder on there, just real careful like. We'll take that little button right there. I'm going to take, I have to make sure that this has got enough room on it here so it'll move. It should be good to go. I'm going to turn this way because I've got that index, so I want to make sure when I put it back in there, it's just like that. It just goes, snaps right in there. So this should go right to that. So let's see how that works. Hopefully it won't be a fail. Alright, pull on a little bit, make sure it looks good, and let go of that. I'll take my handy hook tool. There we go. And you can see right down in there on that wire, and when I push on it, it gives just a little bit, and that's what we want. And I'll have to, once I get it in there, like I say, this wire is on the side of this harness, and this harness is not available. And then I've got to do another one of these repairs. What that'll entail is I have to take these little tiny clamps here and pull them over and cut the solder off of this, and then I will pull that wire out just a little bit more and try to get that in there and dab a little solder on that as well, keeping in mind that this black piece here is all Bakelite, so you can't really do anything with it unless it or else it'll break on you. I could just peel these clamps off of here and drill a little hole in this tiny deal here. They're just little rivets is all they are. I don't know that I've got enough to do that and then keep that moving, because that's what happens is this moves. That's how the turn signals are achieved, just like this. It's a little dry. Of course, it's a 61 Scout. It's 50 what is it, 57, 58 years old. Alright, so I took that other unit off of there, and how this works is it mounts upside down this way and it moves back and forth, and of course this switch is down below there, you can see, and there's a snap ring that holds it in place. It's a little bit sticky, this switch, so I'm going to use this stuff. It's called Kimball Midwest Interlube. I don't know if you've ever used it, but I get it from a dealer. And this stuff is, it sprays. Let me show you. Just on a piece of paper. It sprays. And it's kind of a grease, and almost it comes out real easy, and then it kind of forms a grease. And I found it great for door latches, inner door handles, anything, even hinges. I throw them on, especially like the GM hinge that's always tearing up the bushing. I use that quite a bit. So anyway, that's how that's going to go together there. And that's really nice. Move back and forth real good. Then once I assemble it, you can see there's a little divot right here. So the way this works, there's a little roller, and that roller hits that divot as it goes back and forth. That's your left and right. And then it's got these little release springs, and I'll put a little bit of that Kimball Midwest on there once I go back together with this. And right now I'm going to try and fix that blue wire. I'll get a little solder on the tip of that. Just kind of hold it just on the tip, just barely. You don't overheat the copper, because it'll get a shell on it and it won't stick. Alright. What I've done is I took this piece and I spread its fingers like that go around the wire, and I spread them out a little bit and dug that old wire out of there, and I think I can get that wire to kind of sort of go in there, and then I should be able to dab it with the solder. Now this is called a power probe butane soldering kit. Usually it doesn't take very much to get it to start. Anyway, I'm going to try to dab this on here without burning this thing up. And that little hole right there, that little air hole, you got to make sure it's away from you. If you put it next to your wires, it'll burn a hole through it. So I've got it kind of towards me right now, which isn't good, but three hands and a camera. Yeah, maybe. And if I'm not sure about that touching anything on ground, I might be able to take my little Dremel tool and just kind of clean that edge up and then put some liquid electrical tape on there. Well, maybe it'll hold.